Here in reverence now we gather for the blessings we have known, with a pledge to one another that we journey not alone. Joy and sorrow make us wise, kin to all that lives and dies. Love calls us on. Love calls us on. Welcome, friends. My name is Reverend A.J. Galazin. I'm the interim minister here at the fellowship. And on behalf of Benette's family, I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. It is good to be together. We need each other at this time as we gather to celebrate Benette's life. And we gather with many feelings and emotions: disbelief, shock, relief, grief, gratitude, and laughter, all at the same time. We have come from both far and near to affirm our love for Benette and to take some comfort in this company of friends and family. And one thing is certain: no one entering this world can escape the cost of living. To live in this world, we must accept that someday we will have to die. To love what is alive, we must accept having to lose what we've made precious through our care. To be fully and fiercely human, we must accept having to be breakable and sometimes broken. Though each of us carries in this world a small flame, we know that the ability of that light to brighten the world depends upon many others who learn to walk with us. It is our tradition to light a chalice every time we gather. We light this chalice today in honor of the Spirit of life. We light the memorial candle in honor of Benette. And we light the community candle for all of us here gathered. Please remain seated for our opening song, number 123 in your hymnal, but the words will also be here: Spirit of Life. The Spirit of life comes to each of us in many ways, from many voices. And Benette's family has invited her friends and loved ones to share their stories and memories. We can never hope to know everything of a person's life, and yet, as the stories unfold, perhaps each of us will leave with a new understanding of what Benette's life has meant to us and to the world. It is good we gather here today. The speakers are listed in your order of service, and I ask each speaker to please identify yourself at the beginning of your remarks.
I'm Benette's brother, Ron Harrison. I believe where we live influences who we become. Here are the place names of her life journey. We start with Coopeville, Washington, Muskogee, Oklahoma, Yokohama, Japan, New Orleans, Louisiana, Munich, Germany, Hohenfels, Germany, Norman, Oklahoma. I'm halfway through now. Columbia, Maryland. Somewhere in northern Wisconsin. I know not where. Madison, Wisconsin. West Lafayette, Indiana. Ames, Iowa. Los Alamos, New Mexico. Santa Fe, New Mexico. Concord, New Hampshire. Asheville, North Carolina. Ames, Iowa. Portland, Oregon. We end the journey with her return to Ames, Iowa. Later today, we're calling these places maybe a starting point for sharing memories of Benette, who is one of the warmest, kindest people that I know. Begin by asking yourself a few questions. Did you share an experience with her in one of these places? Did she relate an experience at that place to you? How do you think these experiences shaped you? Thank you very much.
Maybe Benette's best friend. And I met her in Madison when I answered an ad for a babysitter in Madison. And Dan was a baby and Adrian was about Ida-size. Stand up, Ida. So I trusted her with my child. And I grew to love her. And I've loved her ever since. So it's 40-some odd years. And she taught me a lot. She taught me a lot about spirituality, which I kind of avoided. But she didn't avoid it. She talked about it all the time. She taught me about gardening, about being part of the community. I mean, she planted gardens in the front yard so that everybody could see them. She loved to dance, to sing. In fact, one day I was talking to her on the phone. I live in Green Bay. And I said, how are you? She said, my neck really hurts. I'm like, what happened? She goes, James Brown. I'm dancing with James Brown. Every time I think of that. So she brought a lot of laughter. And she loved to think deep. She liked to get to the root of things, you know? Even if it wasn't comfortable, which it wasn't always for me. But she believed in that. I appreciate that. So I've been a part of this family for a long time. She'll be missed.
Hello, I'm Jamie Gerganis, and I have known Benette since I started coming to this congregation in 1993, but I really got to know her really well when she moved back to Ames, and especially when I belonged to the group Women of Wisdom, and during COVID, Benette and I, we met weekly by Zoom, and Benette and I always seemed to be the first ones that logged into the Zoom meeting. And so I had Benette to myself to talk to for about 10 minutes before anyone else joined us. And so I got to know her. When we started meeting in person again, Benette that's when she was starting to have more of her memory problems were starting to surface. And she always got to the fellowship early like I did, and she would seek me out. So I always felt pretty honored that she connected with me that way. And so it just seems, it's hard to believe that a year ago, Peter and I were talking, making plans for her to stay with me for the 2 weeks he was in Vietnam. And so that was a special time I had with her. And then when he started back to teaching in August, that's when I started caring for her. She came to my house, and we had so much fun. I always had playing on my Alexa, I had the Peter, Paul, and Mary, or Peter Mayer, or Emma's Revolution. We loved to sing and dance and just read together. And one of the funny stories I have about Benette is, so in September she had one of her first little mini strokes, and her cognitive awareness was really diminished by then, and her verbal skills changed. She developed what Peter calls this, like she spoke in tongues, and no one can understand what she said, and I couldn't even repeat some of the things she said. It was just quite impressive language that developed. But every now and then something clear would come out. And I was reading one of my Braille books, my kids' books. I was reading Green Eggs and Ham to her. And who can't be animated when you're reading Green Eggs and Ham? So I was reading that, and she, halfway through the story, she laughed, and she turned to me and she said, "You're so funny." And so just clear as day, she said that. So then starting in January, she wasn't able to come to my house anymore, so I started going to Peter's. And so another really special time I had with her, we sat on the couch together and cuddled under, we sat under the comforter, because I was always so cold and so was she. And we were reading or doing something together, and that's when she started. She always liked to play with things, and so we played with her fidget book together, but she always liked to play with my hands and touch my bracelet and play with the buttons on my sweater. And then she leaned over and she fell asleep on me, and it was just such a special time. And when I told Peter, he said, that's why I wanted to care for her at home, because she just gets that type of special care. So the picture up here is even as she might not have been able to say my name, but I knew she knew me. She always reached out for me, for whatever I was wearing. She wanted to touch me, and she always liked to hold my hand. And we did that a lot together, and continued doing that. So one of the things I really treasured my time with Benette, and I really enjoyed getting to know Dan and Tom and Alice and all of her friends, Karen, and especially Peter. I just loved having time with Peter before and after. So I love all you guys, and I'm really gonna miss Benette, but I know she's at peace now.
I'm Nancy Tepper. Like Jamie, I took care of Benette on the days Jamie wasn't, when Peter went to work. I've known Jamie for a very long time also. I mean, Benette and Jamie. She was a good friend for years, but we were just busy. But when she came back to Ames after being away, and especially as she joined the Women of Wisdom group and shared what she was going through, we became even closer. I started calling her my kindred spirit because she turned to me as she did to Jamie. my kids went through RE with Benette, and they were here the whole time, and they were in RE the whole time she was our director of religious education. And I'm going to read what my daughter wrote next to us. I'm dead. I asked her if she would write something, and this is what she wrote. Benette was a kind soul who was very musical and had a great sense of humor with the children. She was always so kind and patient with everyone while making her opinions known. That part, I think, stands out. A lot of us who knew her know that she might have done it quietly, but she did make her opinions known. She was such a support for RE and made all the children feel safe and loved there during whatever they were doing. Through her passion and love, children were able to see and experience the Unitarian Universalist faith with an open mind and loving heart. And I couldn't have said that better than she did. I want to read a poem that Benette wrote and sent to the Women of Wisdom group at some point, about 2021, I think. She titled it Poem for Wild Friends. When the morning is cold, blustery, and dark, I ponder whether to walk or remain still inside. Will I miss the dawn or the blue jays bark? Is it not a sin to rail at the elements and hide? Outside my window, I watch the red leaves torn from trees. They scratch at the pavement and rest at the curb. My mind analyzes and finds reasons to please. My body, now warm and settled, need not be disturbed. But something stirs in me to rise again and walk in beauty. Never mind the cold, never mind the mass of gray, for isn't it better to agree to do our duty, to behold, to honor, to embrace every day? No matter the weather, no matter my wines, I will greet this day. I will write these lines. I want to share one brief anecdote. We went to the library together. We did everything, I should say, until she couldn't go out. If I went someplace with my grandchildren, she 90% of the time came too. We went out to lunch, we went to story time, we went to restaurants, we went to concerts. So one day, Benette and I went to the library because I thought she'd like some books on the Southwest scenery that she liked so much. And as we were walking there, I saw an album of Peter, Paul, and Mary's 50th anniversary. And I picked it up, it's big, for me. And when we got to her house, she took it inside. And we renewed it any number of times. And it's on the table out there. But it was really Peter, Paul, and Mary, and it also captures the times. And so that was a lot of fun. Spending the time with her and with her family has been a real joy. And there's one more poem I would have loved to have read, but I won't in the interest of time. But it talks about how when someone is as principled and loving and all the things Benette was, they live on for generations. When I think of how many kids went through religious education here, like my daughter did, which was for 10 years or so, I believe, everybody they touch, some of that goes on to. So I wanted to give thanks for the time I had with her.
Hi, my name is Alice Wong. I'm Dan Sherman's wife. I'm the daughter-in-law of Benette. I first met her in Asheville, North Carolina, where she was liable to drink a little wine and go out dancing with all of us late. She's a very free spirit. I'm sure all of you know that part of her. But how I really got to know her was after the birth of my first son, Max. Who's 6.5 now, believe it or not. My mom passed when I was in my teens, and so I didn't really have many maternal figures helping me out, and I was kind of lost having my first kid and trying to figure it all out, but she was around and she was so helpful in spending time with Max. It's very few people who really get kids at their level, and that's what she would do. She would play with him at his level. She'd take him for walks. She'd give him little toys that she thought he might like. And the most remarkable thing was when we visited Iowa. Not many people, even people with kids, can't do this well. She would get toys for him, and they were like the exact right toys. There was a cement mixer with all the buttons he wanted to push. There was this annoying egg thing that would just keep going forever, and the spiral, and we all disliked it, but Max loved it. And she was special to us. And I'm glad I got to spend that time with her. And then I'll just share one more memory, which I don't even know if Dan knows, but one day he was at work. She was visiting us in Oregon. This was before we had kids. And I took her on a walk in the Arboretum, which she loved. She loved going on walks. She didn't mind the rain. It was drizzly, but it was one of those beautiful fall days in Oregon where you could see every color of the rainbow in the tree, in the leaves on the ground. And it was just a nice walk with her. And it's kind of how I think about her in nature, on walks, peaceful. So I think she's here with all of us right now. I just want to express my gratitude.
Hello, I'm Dan Sherman, the oldest son of Benette, husband of Alice, father of Max, and the unmentioned Vincent, mom's second grandson. I'm going to say a few words and then read a small poem that I found in my email that my mom wrote. I've been thinking of words that describe my mom since she died, and many have come to mind. Strength, courage, kindness, grace, humility, humor, independence. But there was one word that has come to mind more than any other. And that applies not only since her death, and not only for the last few years while she was struggling with the condition she had, but ever since I was a child. And that word is vitality. Vitality originates from a Latin word, vitalitas, which means the state of being alive or life force. I think everyone in this room, and many more who are not physically here, but who are here in spirit, know that my mom was a force of nature imbued with and exuding her own abundant and also constant vital energy, which, above all, brought people together, just as has occurred today, here and now. She was goofy. She loved to laugh and smile and sing and dance and work in her gardens. And she was optimistic, even in the most difficult times. She was herself, and she encouraged others to not only be themselves, but to honor themselves as well. And so this is a poem I found. She sent this to me on August 1st, 2020, almost 4 years ago. The subject line of the email is poem I wrote a few years back, ... I was walking around Ada Hayden Park. The poem goes like this. If I died today, I would remember and maybe dream about the 3 frogs who hopped across my path, not all together but separate, on their way toward the lake. The pushy and cold wind, making the willows bend, making a cottonwood leaf fly away from home, suggesting that the carnival of fall is over. The geese yelling at each other on the pond, the chickadee plucking at a seed pod, and the sparrows watching from a dead tree branch. The waves, the wind insisting a solitary wave break and then swash onto the rocks, becoming backwash, and then rejoining the lake it never left. The friend and her dog on the upland trail, all of us sniffing and smiling in our own ways. The Queen Anne's lace, the black-eyed Susans, the occasional sunflower, all still blooming, but barely hanging on as the wind pushes east. The grader, the bulldozer, the cement truck, the trencher, the digger, tearing into the former pastures of black soil and rebuking the wind that cannot move them.
Hello everyone, my name is Tom. I am Dan's brother and second son. First of all, I want to thank you all very much for taking the time and putting the effort to be here with us today. It's truly awe-inspiring to see all of your faces, so thank you. Secondly, when I started to think about what I wanted to say, it was mostly about all of the amazing qualities that my mother possessed, like Dan just mentioned, and how she applied those to her life. She was giving and generous, caring and compassionate, loving and loyal. I could stand here most of the day listing the reasons that she's so amazing. But then I thought about what message she would want me to tell all of you. It's to pay attention to those qualities. We all possess them. And my hope is that in her honor, we all strive to be better humans. The next time you see a hand in need, reach out and grab it. A hungry mouth, feed it. A sad soul, give them a shoulder to cry on. An anxious mind, an ear to listen. My mother would want to tell all of us to live our lives this way, without judgment or bias. With that, I'd like to conclude with a reading from this church hymnal. As a lot of you know, my mother was very connected to nature. She loved gardening. The Four Seasons was one of her favorite parts about living here in Iowa. So we'll go ahead and read this poem. This is called We Remember Them. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. And when we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live. For now, they are a part of us as we remember them. I love you, Mom.
introduce myself, bear with me for a moment. I'm sure you've all seen movies that were tearjerkers, right? Just for some unknown reason. Stop. For some unknown reason like this, you start bawling. Yes, there's reason here, all right? But I've seen movies, Benette has seen movies, you've all seen movies, I'm sure, where you just start crying for some weird reason. Heartland. Anybody ever hear of Heartland? Series about the horse. It's sweet. People start bawling. Other people, Thelma and Louise. Right. And then there are other people. Where is he? Mark? Mark? Patton. There are movies for each individual that, for some weird reason, and you can rationalize it through words. I wasn't going to say any words today, up until about 2 hours ago. I just said words are overrated. But for some unknown reason, I said no. So before I introduce myself, I want to ask you to just go with me for a minute and pretend you're in a cinema watching a movie. It's a tearjerker. By the way, the tears, I have a blocked tear duct, and so that's why they hired me to do this role. Play it off. So what I want to share with you is, first of all, in the cinema, Benette, that character is the main actor. Okay. But there are many co-stars in the cinema. I won't say they're stars, but, and Peter. Let me introduce myself. This is Peter in the cinema. Peter is an actor. Benette is an actor. They're characters. Okay? And so I thought if I can share, if it's to share anything with you, this is it. Okay? So I want to give you a little perspective on the character Benette. This is, by the way, this is a Sundance or a Cannes short film festival. This is not a 2-hour, movie. So it's a very short film, and it starts with an ashram in northern Wisconsin. All right, where people are going up to commune, to develop community. Okay, and Peter looks at Benette, and she looks at him, and there's immediate renewal. It wasn't something new, it was a renewal. Okay? Benette had taken a vow of celibacy in 77. You're going back. We do flashbacks in this little short film. So Benette had taken the vow of celibacy in 77. Peter had taken it in 74. So when they looked at each other meeting at the ashram, it wasn't a personal thing in the sense of Peter fell in love with Benette or Benette fell in love with Peter. It was a much deeper thing. The whole point of celibacy, not to get into it, is not to repress. It's to allow other dimensions of love to be. So, having done that, Peter, being the kind of character he was, he wrote her a birthday poem while at the ashram. And here's the poem, 1979. I thought I had it, but I'm going to read it. It just takes me a second to get going. This is Peter now. Remember, you're in the cinema. This is the character, Peter. We're flashing back. If words could be, and this is a birthday poem to someone you feel an intense love for, and you know that it's mutual. If words could be felt like the warmth of the sun, I would make an attempt to express feelings deep in my heart, but there isn't a one, which when spoken belies a mere guess. When I read with affection your written expression of what you intend to convey, I feel tempted to share in the cost of the fare, but discover I've nothing to say. So I'll write in the guise of a babbling brook, since it's better to write than debate all the pros and the cons of what might be forsook. And there's no use in fighting with fate. But you must be forewarned that expression is waning of all once purported to be a conveyance of love, an attempt at retaining those limits that must set us free. Have a peaceful and meditative birthday. That's Peter. This is the character. You gotta get in the full character. With infinite love, always and everywhere. So, that is not what you would call a Romeo and Juliet poem. All right? That is how that cinema began at a very young time. This is 2018 in the journal of Benette, the character, the main character. When do I feel most alive? I am most alive. There you go. Whoa, dude. Yeah. Is that tear duct? I am most alive when the various elements of life, and remember, this is now 2018, all right? This is 30 years later. After the vow of celibacy, after the vow of marriage, okay, after many vows. And she still says, the character says, I feel most alive when the various elements of life let go of individuality and merge into what appears to be oneness. We had what one might call a complicated relationship, because there was always Peter and Benette, but then there were always the actors that were watching the characters in the play. Okay? So, having said that, I made one more vow. Okay? About a week ago, and in fact for the past couple of weeks, I would lie with her in bed. She wasn't speaking, she was just there. But she would occasionally look, and we would look. Not Peter and Benette. We, the actors, the actor, would look into each other's eyes, and I promised her, I will be with you forever. So now, that wasn't Peter making a promise to Benette. That's why you need to see the cinema. When you see a tearjerker movie, it isn't the characters and their actions. There's something deeper that touches one, and you just start bawling. You have no idea, why am I bawling on this, over this stupid Patton movie, or this Homeland movie, Heartland movie, why am I bawling? Because there's feeling. What is the feeling? And so my promise to Benette has put me on a new chapter of this journey. And I say I, not Peter. Peter's the character. How will I honor that promise to Benette, or to myself, that oneness that we both identified with? And I can't really explain in words. I tell my students words are way overrated. It's feeling. Feeling is the most. And so, all right, having babbled like that, this is how I'm going to, not Peter. This is how the scene ends. You guys know what it is. Now, this character was brought into the scene by Dan, who doesn't really remember bringing it, but Max and Vinny know. And Dan gave a name to this character. Dan is another character in the play. He named this character Leroy. And so Benette and I immediately felt something for Leroy. I saw Ida. Where's Ida? I saw Ida grab Leroy the other day, and she just was in heaven. She squeezed him, she smiled. And I thought, she doesn't know Leroy. I could prove it in court. How does this girl get off on this little bear? It's the feeling. It isn't her feeling Leroy. It's feeling expressing itself. And so, this is Leroy. Leroy is my guru. And I mean that. Leroy, not the character. Leroy is this. It's the feeling. Do I feel sad? No. Do I feel happy? No. I feel intense. When I touch Leroy, the feeling is what is there. And so this is how I'm going to honor my promise to that part of me which is Benette. It's to feel, to look at all of you, and not see you in the cinema, but to see that character which is behind all of you and me. We're all that same character. Leroy is telling me, like, Ralphie would say, shut the fudge up. Words are overrated. I can't express feelings because I don't have feelings. Feelings are feelings. They're love. They're a feeling, that intense feeling I get isn't my feeling. It's feeling. It's love. That's how I define love. And so I can say I love all of you. Peter, he tries to love everybody. But I do love all of you because all of you are this. Today, I got me. Tomorrow, who knows what teddy bears will bring. This friend belongs to nobody. There's a blank. Because this is a friend to everybody. This is my friend. This is who I sleep with. When I do this and massage Leroy's ear, that's exactly what I did to Benette. And she felt it. It's the feeling. So, thanks for tolerating that cinema. Yeah, thank you all very much for being here. Benette is dying. Peter will die. But that feeling never dies, and that's my promise, is that feeling will never die. It's us. Thank you. I really didn't want to say anything. We were sorry.
Thank you, Peter, and everyone that shared. Will you rise now in body or spirit for our song number 347, Gather the Spirit. this beautiful obituary. Benette Harrison was born in Oak Harbor, Washington on December 11, 1949. She spent most of her younger years in Oklahoma with her sister Linda and brother Ron, and was a cheerleader at Norman High School. Following high school, she graduated with a degree in journalism from the University of Maryland and worked as a journalist for a few years, and then as an aide at a facility for troubled youth before embarking on an adventure through Europe that would change her life forever. Benette was in her mid-20s when, while backpacking across Europe, she met a spiritual teacher in Denmark who encouraged her, as well as a small group of others, to start a spiritual commune in northern Wisconsin. 2 years later, she helped start the commune, which has flourished to this day. It was there she met Peter Sherman, another founding member of the commune, and a man who would soon become her husband and father of her 2 sons. In 1991, after moving from Wisconsin to Indiana, where she stayed at home and raised her sons, Benette and her family moved to Ames, Iowa. In Ames, she briefly worked as a registered nurse before pursuing a professional path with the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Ames, where she was Director of Religious Education for over a decade. Benette worked for the Unitarian Universalist Association after moving from Ames to New Hampshire, and she continued to work for the UUA while living in New Mexico and North Carolina, all before ending up back in Ames, where she remained until her death, and where, during her last year, she was cared for by Peter and 2 of her best friends, Jamie Gerganis and Nancy Tepper. In addition to meditating regularly and following a spiritual path throughout her life, Benette was a master gardener, an avid walker and writer, and a passionate fan of dancing and film. She devoted herself to being a great mother, grandmother, wife, and friend, and she dedicated her life to caring for and helping people, including her grandsons, Max and Vincent, and her daughter-in-law, Alice. A brave and independent woman with immense inner strength, she was a lover of the ocean, the night sky, chocolate, wine, and life itself. Her family remembers her always in the garden, outside with a shovel, planting, composting, and harvesting. And Benette spent hours walking, especially in nature, at Ledges State Park, the Iowa Arboretum, in the mountains, in this neighborhood, and wherever she traveled. She once protected the family from a bear, and she could be goofy. She loved to dance, dress up in Halloween costumes, and have fun at parties. Let us take a moment now to enter into the sanctuary of silence and listen for any thoughts, words, ideas, or memories that Benette may be speaking to us now. We've reserved this portion of the service for anyone that wants to come forward to light a candle or share a memory of Benette, you are now invited to come forward. And if you do light a candle, it's easy to pick up a tea light and bring it to the flame on his side.
I'm Sarah Carlson, and I knew Benette when we started teaching religious education together with a group of young girls, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Some of them are here today. And it was just a wonderful experience knowing Benette. She was kind and gentle. And when the DRE, the Director of Religious Education position, came open here at the fellowship, she wanted to go for it. And both of my children were able to experience such a deep spiritual person who impacted their lives so deeply. They learned all sorts of religious practices that I don't think they would have experienced in meditation, in chanting, in dancing, in prayer. She did a sermon on prayer in this congregation that never said that word before. For me, she's the epitome of a song on meditation. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. And that's what she did. She breathed in and she breathed out. And she was so mindful. You talk about how she was mindful in nature. She was mindful with people. And every child that she encountered, she could just be with them and hear them. She didn't have to say anything. She knew them, and they loved her. And she impacted my life, and she impacted dozens and dozens of children here at the fellowship. Thank you, Peter, Dan, and Tom, for sharing her with us, because I know when she was with us, she wasn't with you. She talked about you all a lot and loved you very much, and still does.
I'm Dan Haug. I'm one of the kids that was in the high school youth group when Benette was DRE. There's at least 4 of us here, and Benette just fostered a community that really helped us be ourselves and be better people and see the world in new ways. She took us to Boston. She took us to conferences. She led us in meditations and just was really the core of grounding us all in a community that has been and continues to be a really important part of my life.
I think you all know how much Benette loved this fellowship and the people in it. And she stood at this microphone quite a few times in the last years of her life, saying exactly that. And it would fill her heart with joy to see all of you here today.
Thank you, now. Oh.
I'm Ronnie Kahn, and I met Benette in 2021, and she was already in the throes of Alzheimer's. And she was at that stage where she recognized that she was not able to remember things and really struggling. When I met her, I was dealing with my aunt's death, and Benette thought to call me one day and ask me how I was doing. And that just meant so much to me. I got a glimpse of what she had been like before the Alzheimer's, and I just so appreciate that.
I'm Drew Hanoff. I'm Sarah's son. I grew up in this church, and Benette's she's just a very treasured person to me. One of the most vivid memories I remember growing up through the church was we would have summer religious education. One of the things that she had was she had this white leather drum with 3 nude women dancing in the moonlight. And I had forgotten this until, honestly, just a few weeks ago when I was walking through the woods. But she would always play the song, "The Earth is Our Mother, We Must Take Care of Her." I think a lot of us remember that. And I had just rediscovered that song a few weeks ago. And the next day, my mom called to tell me about the news of Benette. And I really feel like she was speaking to me through nature, through the woods, to help me discover that, to get me connected back to myself spiritually. And I'm so thankful to have had the honor of knowing her.
Thank you, everyone who shared. Will you rise now in body or spirit for song 354, We Laugh, We Cry.
Thank you.
family found a special video they are now sharing with you. And Benette is the producer, director, and plays the part of Dorothy.
Why have you returned? You've liquidated her. Very resourceful.
Well, now can we have what we came for, wizard? Not so fast. We got to get you through.
Go away. Come back tomorrow.
Oh, she said we could have our courage and our heart and
Do not arouse the wrath of the great and powerful I.
What is it?
I am the great I. Pay attention to that man behind the chair.
Wizard at all. You're just a mean old man.
No, I'm not a mean old man. I'm actually a very nice man.
You're just a mean old man.
No, I'm not a mean old man. I'm actually a very nice man.
You're not a very powerful man. How are you going to get us the scarecrow's brain and Tin Man's heart?
Oh, special guest.
There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere that you dare to dream, maybe to come true.
Dear friends, our time together is now coming to an end. Benette's family invites you to join them for a reception in the fireside room where the conversations will surely continue. From Mary Oliver in Blackwater Woods. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads me back to this. The fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things. To love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones knowing your own life depends on it. And when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. We extinguish now these flames, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather again. Amen.
Thank